We are conscious human beings. We have consciousness, the gift of consciousness, which is essential to life. We do many things when we live our everyday life, right? We see movies, we go to the gym, we work out, or we study, we fulfill our goals. Basically, we are aware about ourselves. But where does this awareness come from? Does it come from our brain, or does it come from a higher power living inside us? This is the mystery of consciousness, which neuroscientists have still not been able to solve. What makes us conscious? What makes us aware about ourselves? We are all aware about ourselves. We can do higher order thinking. We can actually solve problems, think about our future. But what is we? Who actually are we? Are we a collection of some neurons? Are we a collection of cells or atoms? Or is there something among us which lives on even after we die? This is a question which has intrigued philosophers and psychologists from time immemorial. From the ancient Greek times, from the times of Aristotle to even all the great Indian thinkers and philosophers have thought and pondered over this question, that what makes us who we are. Because what is the difference between us and a non-living object? What is the difference between you and the screen on which you are watching this video? What is the difference? That is also a bunch of atoms, and even you are a bunch of atoms. So why are you aware about yourself and that screen is not aware about itself? What makes us aware? What makes us aware of our surroundings? What exactly is consciousness? This is a very important question which still does not have a satisfactory answer. The nature of consciousness is a very complex and multifaceted topic within psychology and philosophy. It explores questions about the mind, self awareness, and our subjective experience. Consciousness is often defined as the state of being aware of and able to think about one's own existence, sensations, thoughts, and surroundings. Philosophers distinguish between phenomenal consciousness, that is the raw qualitative aspect of experience, and the access consciousness, which is the ability to use information in reasoning and decision making. Dualistic theories, notably championed by Rene Descartes, posit a fundamental distinction between the mind, which is the consciousness, and the body. The mind is considered non physical and distinct from the material world. Basically, what Rene Descartes was trying to say is that we can doubt everything, but if we are doubting everything, there is one thing which we cannot doubt, and that is someone is doubting, right? That is something which cannot be doubted. And that thing he called as soul. So Rene Descartes believed in the concept of a soul and believed that there is a higher soul, a higher power within us, which is giving us consciousness. Opposite to this theory is a materialistic attitude. Materialist or monist theories, in contrast, assert that consciousness is inseparable from the physical brain. Physicalism and behaviorism fall under this category. So these people believe that consciousness actually originates from our brain and its neurons. So consciousness is something which originates from a physical object, which is our brain. So consciousness, even though intangible, is originating from our neurons. It is originating from biological matter. It is originating from the neurochemicals inside our brain. The hard problem of consciousness is a term coined by David Chalmers. It refers to the challenge of explaining why and how physical challenge, physical processes in the brain give rise to subjective experiences. So, what actually happens in our brain which gives rise to consciousness, which makes us consciously experience things around us? Philosophers often discuss qualia, which are the intrinsic qualitative aspects of conscious experience, such as the redness of red or the taste of chocolate. There are many philosophical theories of consciousness. Functionalism is a theory which says that mental states, including consciousness, are identified by their functional role or contribution to cognitive processes rather than by physical structure. The identity theory says that mental states, including consciousness, are identical to the physical brain states. This contrasts with dualism but still faces challenge like the mind body problem. So, what they are trying to say is consciousness is something which is exactly identical to our physical brain. So, as our physical brain changes, its neurochemical structure changes, our levels of consciousness change. There is also a theory called as panpsychism. Some philosophers who suggest this theory, they propose that consciousness is a fundamental aspect of the entire universe, with even elementary particles possessing some form of subjective experience. There is also something called as first person perspective. Consciousness is often associated with the first person perspective, which emphasizes the immediate and subjective nature of experiences. The ability to reflect on one's own mental states and recognize oneself as a distinct entity is central to consciousness. Consciousness often involves intentionality, the capacity of mental states to refer to or to be about objects, events, or state of affairs. Panpsychism is a very, very interesting theory in philosophy which says that every particle, every atom has some form of consciousness, and it also suggests a universal consciousness with which all of our consciousness are connected. This is also something which the philosophy of Advait Vedanta, proposed by Adi Shankaracharya, says. The Eastern philosophical perspectives are very famous. Traditions like Buddhism emphasize practices like mindfulness and meditation to explore consciousness, promoting self awareness and understanding the nature of our mind. Advait Vedanta philosophy says that everything is connected to the One. We are all the same and one. Basically, all our souls are just part of the great Brahman, which Adi Shankaracharya said. So he said that our consciousness are actually not different. Them being different is a Maya, it's an illusion. And actually, we are all connected to the one supreme power, which is formless and which has no attributes. Today, there are many challenges to the study in consciousness because even modern neuroscience is not able to explain from where and how consciousness originates. The explanatory gap highlights the difficulty in bridging the gap between physical processes in the brain, which are very well studied with all the modern brain imaging techniques. But the subjective experience of consciousness is still not known, it is still a big mystery. Philosophers consider the ethical implications of consciousness, especially regarding questions of moral responsibility and treatment of sentient beings. Because the question is, do other animals have consciousness? There are many philosophers who have studied the nature of consciousness. The study of neuroscience is also very important in the field of consciousness study. The study of consciousness intersects with neuroscience, psychology, cognitive science, which prompts interdisciplinary exploration. The philosophical examination of consciousness is a very ongoing and dynamic field, with scholars grappling with fundamental questions about the nature of subjective experience, self awareness, and the relationship between the mind and the body. The dialogue between philosophy and other disciplines continues to shape our understanding of consciousness. Thank you so much for listening.